Benet's Bloody Bits.
Hi, my name is Jason Benet, and welcome to Benet's Bloody Bits. Scream 7. Nothing but drama with this production. I'm a little late to the game getting this video out, but I still think this is going to be the talk of the town for a while. Lots of changes with the cast, the director, the actors, a lot of people on social media for all the controversies that have been going on. Will or will not support the film. I brought in a good friend to discuss it, and let's break it down and see where we go from there. Hey, Malcolm, how are you doing today? Good to have you back.
I'm doing great, thanks. It's been an interesting day weather-wise, but other than that, it's been quite nice here. How about with you?
Oh, well, I'm in California, so we're actually nice and warm for a change. It's been really rainy for us. I'm not used to this England weather over here.
I prefer the English weather. When do you come back?
Oh, man. Okay, so we have a big week. An announcement came through, but let's kind of backtrack and see how we got here. So Scream 1 through 4, all were directed by Wes Craven. Scream 5 and 6, 5 being a reboot, were both directed by Radio Silence. For those films, they brought back some of the legacy characters, obviously Neve Campbell, David Arquette, and Courtney Cox. And yeah, and those were successful films. Some fans liked them, some didn't. Scream 7 was all set. A brand new director was going to be Christopher Landon. Loves the series. Big slasher fan. Previously directed 2 films I thought were really good, Freaky and Happy Death Day.
Oh, both good movies.
Yeah, he was all set to go. And then, something happened out there in the world. Some atrocities going back and forth between Israel and Palestine, and main actress Melissa Barrera, she had an opinion on it, and Spyglass, the makers of these new Scream films, did not like it, and they fired her. And shortly thereafter, Jenna Ortega left. Now, the rumor is, oh, well, she was out the door anyways because scheduling conflicts were going to come up with Wednesday season 2, but I don't buy that at all. I think Melissa got fired. She didn't like it. She said, I'm going to. And then Christopher Landon, the director, he just couldn't deal with it. He got a lot of flack on social media. If you stick around, are you supporting Melissa? So it was a no-win situation. He bailed. So we kind of knew this was probably coming, that now that the 2 lead actors are gone, that there's money on the table to pay Neve Campbell, because that was a sticking point with why Scream 6, she wasn't in it.
Yeah.
So now we have Neve Campbell back for Scream 7, and Kevin Williamson, who wrote all the Scream films, is directing, and he's done it before with Teaching Mrs. Tingle with Katie Holmes. So the floor is yours, man. What do you think about all this that just went down?
Okay. Well, are we talking about just the film, or what happened with them leaving?
You can go wherever you want.
Okay. Well, I think I always think any issues that happen in the world, it's a shame when they're brought into like films and stuff, because we all have our rights to feel the way we do about anything. I'm not going to go into that and say, hey, this is wrong, that's wrong, because that's up to whoever you are and how you feel. But it's a shame that it came and took them out the movie, because I feel like, even though I feel like number 6 kind of finished their story, I do feel like they could have continued on. As I don't know how I feel about the whole thing with Neve Campbell coming back, because it's not because I don't want her back. It's just I don't want her as a lead, unless they're going to go maybe, because obviously they're rebooting it technically with her. They're going to do like the Halloween thing, where they make it a direct sequel to, the first one. Or maybe from 4. But I think it's a shame that Jenna Ortega left, and because I think she's one of the highlights of the series, because she's been such a rising star since she's joined in so many other great films like X and you name her. So I'm a little bit mixed, because I'm happy that we're going to have like a kind of like new version, but not a new version, because I do feel 5 and 6 went off each other perfectly. But at the same time, now that Neve Campbell's coming back and they're going to have a new one with her, does that mean that they're going to possibly bring David Arquette back? Because he could be a continuation. And I feel like they kind of need him a little bit for that, the fun aspect. Now, we also got to remember that if Courtney Cox comes back as well, it's going to end up kind of like Halloween, where they're all kind of like a lot older, and they could play off that a little bit more in the new one.
I think you're onto something. I really feel like what they're going to do, or Kevin Williamson, or whoever ends up writing it is going to do, they're going to act like 5 and 6 never happened. And I think 1 and 4 are going to be canon, right? You could do a direct sequel to 1, but that makes no sense because
no, of course not. When you've got the other ones, but yeah,
I think they're just going to remove 5 and 6 altogether, even though Neve Campbell was in 5, and they don't exist. And here we go. We're just gonna jump ahead, Scream 4 to Scream 7.
Well, it's going to be probably like the TV series, because it's like the TV series kind of doesn't exist either in that universe, obviously. So I reckon these 2 movies are going to be like that. But I think it's also going to get more of a cult following in the future, like a deeper one, because they're going to be like, well, we want a continuation of these, and it might end up being the whole kind of like Jamie Lloyd situation. Everybody wants another movie. I think I could see that happening in maybe 10 years.
I am curious to see if they make Neve the lead, or do they introduce new, younger leads like they had with Jenna and Melissa. I think they kind of have to balance the both, but they are probably paying her a significant amount of money, because all that dough that didn't go to Melissa and Jenna, obviously Neve's going to get paid big time.
Yeah.
And I feel like the fallout from all this drama, Spyglass needs to put all their eggs in this basket, which is her. Because without getting too political, there are people out there that basically have said, I will not go see this film. And I think it's a tough scenario. I understand trying to separate art from the artist. But what Melissa said really wasn't awful. It was just her opinion. And to me, there's no right side on this, what's going on with these countries. It's just, if I was to stop watching movies because somebody said something I didn't like, I wouldn't be watching any film. Nothing. I mean, either wherever I know about it or not, it's out in the open. You and I have talked about doing a retrospective on Clown House, and I've kind of backed away from it because I have a feeling it's just going to be people are going to let me have it. Not because I'm supporting the film, but just that we're even discussing it. But at the same time, we're adults, and we could still talk about entertainment.
You know what people are like. People will fight on anything just to say something. So whether or not it's Clown House or let's say it's Scream 7, everybody's going to have an opinion one way or the other. My view is everybody that says they won't go and see it, they will eventually. They'll pick it up on Blu-ray cheap somewhere and watch it, because that's the way it is. The curiosity will take over.
So let's go back to 1996. What did you think of the original Scream?
Well, I've got an interesting story about that, because I didn't see the original Scream first. I saw the second one because we got it on VHS off of a stall. And as you remember with the second movie, there's all these quotes from the first one, all these mentions. So we rushed to get it. And I will say this, the first one is obviously the best one. Who doesn't love Billy Loomis? Who doesn't love Stowe? I think I think the first one's really good. I do find it's a great introduction to the characters. I find it comedic as well as great on the kills, because the kills are in their own way funny, as you see in the parodies in like Scary Movie and stuff that would have added to it. So I think it had a great cast, the original one, and I think it was played really well. And I thought the kills were great. I loved the twist, and I loved the we all go a little bit crazy sometimes line. I thought it was a really good film, the first one.
I think Scream is great. At the same time, I feel it's a little overrated, probably because
Okay.
the angle that I came at it from was I've seen this before, but it wasn't done as successfully and it didn't make the money. I could just go back to another Wes Craven film, New Nightmare. I think is better
Oh,
than Scream, but it didn't make money at the box office. Scream cleared 100 million, right? It was this fairly
yeah.
low budget film that made a lot of money. But to me, Wes Craven's meta masterpiece is New Nightmare, not as much Scream. What Scream did, and Kevin Williamson in particular, the writer, is he tapped into the era of 80s slashers, but he
Yeah.
was also kind of doing stuff that I had seen before. Student Bodies. There's Nothing Out There. Maybe films that not everybody's seen, but he took it to a theatrical level where people,
Yeah.
and I think a younger generation really caught on to Scream. That kind of was a passing of the torch for, because the 90s get a bad rap for not being a great decade for horror. And I'm like, well, anything after the 80s is going to have a lot to live up to. There were a lot of fantastic films in the 90s. The problem is they weren't making money. I could go to 1995, 1 year before, Tales from the Hood, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, two of my
Yeah.
favorite films of the 90s, but they're not as in high esteem because they didn't burn up the box office. Where Scream
Yeah.
and its sequels all were like $100 million films. Obviously, we got the movies that came in the wake of it because the cash in on it, like
Yeah.
Disturbing Behavior and I Know What You Did Last Summer and Urban Legend. But I think Scream is great. I saw it theatrically in 96. I saw Scream 2 in
Well,
theaters. Wasn't as good, but I did enjoy it. But I don't hold Scream as, in high regard as some other people do.
I think with Scream, the first one, it might not have been such a big office hit, but I think it renewed the generation, didn't it? It brought out these how you could make horror more comical in a way, and you could add more to it. Because, like you, I mean, I was a lot younger in the 90s,
Weren't we
but
all?
yeah, I mean that was nearly 30 years ago now.
uh,
But I remember it having such an impact on me as a child, but the second one had more of an impact. But I think about how it kind of started this whole new wave, like you were saying, the imitators, the people that were taken from it. And I think thanks to that, we have a lot of what we have today. But I also feel like you have to give credit to the ones like you mentioned, like Urban Legends, The Craft, even, you know?
Actually, good call on The Craft. Not only was that Neve Campbell, that came out before Scream.
Yeah.
Same year, but it came out before. And actually, it's kind of like an indicator of what was to come with the whole
Well,
teen revival horror film.
well, a big problem I have with The Craft is that it's very underrated. It's a brilliant film, but it's very underrated.
Isn't Skeet Ulrich in that one too? I believe so.
I do not know. I cannot remember.
We will not go look, but I think he's in that one too. But it's interesting. Of all the films that came out in the wake of Scream's success, the one that's my favorite, also written by Kevin Williamson, but directed by Robert Rodriguez, is The Faculty. I thought that was a
Oh,
great,
classic.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers kind of meets The Thing, but set in a high school. I know that Scream Factory is about to put out I don't know if it's a 4K or a Blu-ray. I can't wait to buy it.
Okay.
It's 4K. There you
I
go.
believe.
Not to steer away too far from Scream, but that whole 96 to like 2002 or 3 was just like
Yeah.
this new wave of slasher films, teen horror. Obviously, the posters were a little bit kind of iffy because they were like Vanity Fair. They didn't emphasize the horror, but they were putting the
No.
recognizable faces.
Yeah.
That was more of
And it had
a
quite a lot
broad
back then. I mean, nearly all the cast in that movie were well known.
Party of Five, all these. Dawson's Creek. Well, because they were doing is they were selling, the names. They would put their names, their faces on the artwork to make, this is why we want you to come see it. We've got Neve Campbell, we got Courtney Cox, we got Lacey Chabert, we got all these different recognizable faces that were on television.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? If you look at movies from the 1990s and early 2000s, all the posters always had the group image. And they always had, like, normally the killer behind them or something, or the mask or whatever, because they were like, look who's in the next one. Look who's here. Look who's that. You're going to come in this just to see this. I remember in the second screen, you had Jada Pinkett on it. And it was like, oh, right. And nope, you're like right at the beginning. That's nothing on that screen.
And then for the faculty, Usher, who is a singer, he was on the cover. I don't blame them for doing it. I'm a purist when it comes to artwork. So if I buy something like that and I put it up on my wall, I prefer the horror to be forefront in the center and these people in the background. But guess what? It's a form of marketing that worked well for these films. Okay, so kind of, we both like Scream and Scream 2. What about 3 and 4? 3 and 4.
Scream 3, I remember rushing to rent it when it came out. And it had one of those, cardboard boxes that had the tape in, which was really exciting when I was younger. So I remember sitting down and watching it with my mum because we were big fans of watching it together. And I liked the whole movie within a movie element in it. The whole stab, the whole, we're directing this. We've got Parker Posey as the, as like Gal Weathers and stuff like that. And I liked that. And I liked how different people were dying at different times. I thought it was really good. I thought the twist was a little bit silly, but then I thought that was 4 as well. Because I thought, okay, at this point it's starting to get a little bit silly on, who the killer is, because it's becoming something that's a bit too, how do I put it? A bit too repetitive in the sense of, oh look, it's about this character all the time. I think it would have been nice if they'd have mixed it up and maybe made it where, somebody who hated Gal, for instance, because of her coverage on it and stuff like that, more than, oh, look, it's, a brother kind of thing.
Scream 4 is bittersweet for me because that's Wes Craven's swan song. That's the last film he made.
Yeah.
Before he passed away. And 3, I've only watched once. I really need to do a rewatch. I don't remember not liking it. I just remember it being kind of, decent. 4, kind of same thing. Watched it once in the theaters. Remember liking it. I remember it bringing up a lot of about the remakes of the time.
Yes.
Being very self-conscious of, My Bloody Valentine and all these films getting remade. And that to me is always what's worked for me in the series. It's not so much the, let's call it like it is. The whole Scream films are violent episodes of Scooby-Doo. Who's behind the mask, right? We know it's not going to be anything supernatural. It's going to be a human being that obviously has some mental issues. But I do remember liking 4, and then with 5 and 6, I really enjoyed them. To be honest with you, I think I might like them as a tandem, as much as Scream and Scream 2. Just, I know that's probably a horrible thing to say. The purist of Screamer, how can you say that? They're not directed by Wes Craven, and it's like a mostly new cast. I'm like, I just call them like I see them. 5 and 6 are easy, the goriest, most violent ones. I think the legacy characters with these new people, it works together well. The only issue I have is the whole Billy Loomis ghost kind of
that's silly.
Really bad de-aging, and but I do like the connection between him and Melissa Barrera's character, and whether her dad's killer instincts, so to speak, are in her bloodline.
Yeah. If I was going to talk about 5 and 6, I would say I wasn't too keen on number 5 originally, but after watching number 6, if you take them together as like one long story, they work. It works really well. I think you couldn't get a better Scream movie directed by someone who's not Wes Craven than these two, because in my view, I think it's the legacy plus, as you said, more blood, more gore, but done right. It's not just there. It feels like something's happening. The story's developing. And I think that these are, if I had to put them in thing, I would probably say 1 and 2, the beginning of 3, and then these two. Because I've never been a big fan of number 4. So now I've only watched it twice, so that could be a part of it. And I'm sure I'll buy it when it comes out 4K. So, But yeah, I like these two. I like Melissa and I like Jenna. I think they're great as leads together. They feel like sisters. They interact perfectly. I think having a Neve Campbell and that in the background worked. At the same time, I felt like it kind of made it more believable as in a kind of sequel feeling. Because otherwise we would have had, they're trying to kill Neve Campbell again or Sydney Prescott for like the 18th time. And, that gets a bit tedious after a while. But yeah, 5 and 6, brilliant.
I feel like 6 I enjoyed more than 5 because I feel like the filmmakers kind of had no choice to constantly reference this is for Wes. I mean, literally it's part of the storyline.
Yeah.
And there's homages, there's certain scenes and shadows that look like Freddy Krueger coming out, but it's Ghostface. And 5, I feel like they're a little bit constrained because they had to satisfy the fans, but also they had to have an independent vision as filmmakers and do their own thing. Where 6, they could put that on the back burner and be like, we're going, this is our film now. We're moving forward and doing our own thing.
Well, number 5, I love the bit where, the bit of Dewey, where he goes, it's an honor. I was like, that's a bit cheesy, isn't it? It's an honor. Yeah. It's been an honor. Boom, And the other, I think one of my favorite kills in the two movies as well is when that policewoman is rushing home, and as she runs, Screenface just moves out and does what needs to be done. To me, that was brilliant because I was like, okay, we had the tension in that scene, the son. And you think, she's going to run in, it's going to be all this nonsense for her walking around. Nope. Boom. I thought that was great.
Do you think it's time to mix up the mask a little bit? Maybe give it a little bit of different look? I mean, obviously it's not like Jason Voorhees where it gets hit with an axe, but maybe, do something different, maybe different color.
Give it a bit of a rainbow effect. I don't know. I mean, it'd be great if there was like like the cut, like in 5, but maybe make it more. Maybe I don't know. Maybe like Billy Loomis's original mask or something, and it's got like maybe some extra kind of like blood on it. I don't know. I mean, the mask they used obviously in the series was awful. So I don't know. I think it's so iconic. It's like Michael Myers' mask, except Michael Myers' mask has changed almost every movie. So, so I don't know. I mean, what would you like to see on it? Would you like to see a Please Rewind sticker on the top of the head?
I don't know. Maybe they need to not look so clean. Maybe a little bit beat up. Maybe a little bit, roughed up. I never watched the Scream television series, but I remember it did look different.
Yeah, it's like plasticky kind of. Oh, like this is kind of. It's weird. It's a weird, horrible mask.
The one thing throughout the series, and I could be wrong, though these are slasher films and they're homage in a different era, has there ever been nudity in any of these films at all? I don't believe so. Not that maybe underwear, lingerie.
I don't think any real nudity.
It surprises me for a rated R film. Nudity. Right? Slasher films, rated R, so nudity is not a big deal, that they've never gone there with it. And actually, most of the films of that era, maybe The Faculty had the girl going in the locker room after she's, she's an alien and you kind of see her in the shadows. You can see her, but not see her. I'm really surprised they don't go there. Why not?
I think it makes it more tasteful, to be honest, because everybody wants to see like naked girls in horror movies, but if you don't see it, it keeps you wanting more because you're like, is Jenna Ortega gonna get naked in the next one, or is Melissa gonna get naked in the next one? are they both going to dance in the shower together in the next one? You know, and if you don't see it, you just keep wanting it. You keep wanting to turn up. So, I mean, who didn't want to see Neve Campbell completely starkers in the original movies?
What is that word again? Stalkers? Stalkers? I've never
Starkers.
heard.
You've never heard it. Starkers means completely naked.
Okay. Well, obviously it's not going to happen. And it is a different time. It's not the 80s where that was kind of like a prerequisite for most of these
I just
films.
realised. Sorry, I just realised. We missed the last one. The last one is the Scream Triple X parody. There's a lot of nudity in that one.
Well, of course you've seen that one. That would be the Patreon exclusive conversation. We will go over there. So, okay. So Scream 7, who knows? They're going to probably start filming it soon. We don't have any idea where the storyline's going to go. Are you going to go see it in the theaters? You're going to wait till it goes to home video? What are you going to do?
I'll probably see it in the cinema. I'm hoping it's going to still be in London because that'll be epic. Because I'll go, oh, I've been there, I've been there. So that'll be nice. But I don't think they will because obviously, kind of rebooting it. But yeah, I would go and see it in the cinema. I'd probably go and see it with my friend in the cinema. But I don't think I'd rush to buy it if I didn't see it in the cinema. I think I'd wait. Not because I won't be interested, but because of a completely different conversation, basically. But, the price of media and stuff. So I would rather go and sit in the cinema for like £4. So I probably will go and sit in the cinema. Long story, long thing there. Go on.
Do you own any of the films on physical media?
Yeah, I do. I own 1, 2, and 3, 5, and 6, all on 4K. Because number 4 isn't out on 4K yet. So I own them all. Do you own them?
I used to have a bunch on DVD. I kind of traded those in and the problem is that I would love a box set, but obviously this is going to be a series that never ends. Franchises never die. So, unfortunately, some of the rights, because of, what happened with Bob and Harvey Weinstein and the issues there. I know we got Kino, we got Vinegar Syndrome, and we got Scream Factory pulling from their library. So a true box set's probably going to be a hard one to pull off.
Yeah.
They're all grabbing from the same pile of films. And of course the movies, there's going to be a Scream 8 and 9, as long as they're making money. And the last 2 were very successful. I'm assuming even with all the people, I'm not going to go see this. If you're a fan, you're going to see it.
Yeah.
I really feel like
give up eventually, and they'll go and see it.
Melissa Barrera thing got really blown out of proportion. Everybody has a right to their opinions and what's going on in the world. We all do. There's a lot on our plate. But films are escapism, and you have to draw a line in the sand somewhere and go, look, I could go walk over to my collection of films now and go, oops, there was a crappy person on that film. Oops. You got to pick your battles, and I'm not saying entertainment is more important than what's going on in the world, but we all work for a living. We all are tired, and sometimes you just want to come home and watch a movie.
Well, the thing is, eventually everybody, I'm sure there was tons of reasons not to watch movies 50 years ago. People could have said, oh, we shouldn't watch a Humphrey Bogart movie because he fought against rights and stuff like this. If you were on the side against it, obviously. But why? At the end of the day, a movie's a movie. If the movie is a propaganda piece, which is trying to get your feed, then I get it. But when it's a horror movie and it's something else, just go in and enjoy it. Don't feel like you have to bring politics in or anything else, because, those things will hopefully end at some point. And the movies are made by more than just 1 or 2 or even 100 people for a part of it. So when you don't want to go and see a film, not only are you saying, oh, I don't want to watch this film because maybe Harvey Weinstein produced it, but what about all the actors and all the people behind the scenes that actually put their heart and soul into it?
No, you nailed it, because not one movie or one person makes a picture. Even if it's a low budget film, watch the end credits. There's thousands of people. If you go to a Marvel movie, just the special effects is a thousands of people. So just because you don't like the lead or how their beliefs are, or you're not going to watch a film based off all these people working on it, it takes a an army to make a
Yeah.
film. So one person shouldn't be, and I feel really bad for the people that have their social media accounts and they just get, you know, trash talking them. And, I've seen people run off the internet. I saw,
Yeah.
what was it, Daisy Ridley, the new Star Wars films, she left Instagram because of the hate. And I just felt like people need to calm down and just, there's bigger fish to fry than just, someone's opinion.
Well, it's a saying, isn't it? There's no fandom anywhere which is just pure and loving and not some sort of toxicity in it, And that's not because these people are horrible people. It's just because their passion is right there. So sometimes it can come out the wrong way, and sometimes we just go a little bit too far. We've all been there.
So I think we're both in agreement. We're going to support Scream 7, and it's all about movies and having fun and just kind of forgetting about the troubles of the world. I think people get so obsessed that they just need to take a step back and, you can have your views politically, but at the same time, you can enjoy entertainment. And if you let those two, wires cross, you're just going to be a miserable person. It's just not something that's not somewhere I want to go. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, as somebody who I know, as somebody who's against negativity, on things, and you want to, keep pace and enjoy something without that way, I think it's a very important subject to understand that sometimes it's okay to have your problems with whatever you feel. Just don't let it get to your heart too much, because otherwise, not only, like you said, you can become a better person, but at the same time, you can be missing out on something special.
So I think that's a good way to close the show. And Malcolm, thank you for coming on and talking about the Scream series, what's going on with Scream 7. We're going to have you back very soon. We still have some stuff that we won't talk about on air, but
Yeah, we do.
thank you for coming on, man. And I will talk to you soon. And everybody out there, stay scared.